Welcome back, Raider Nation and my champions. And even though the Raiders did not show up last night, we are showing up tonight to do the game review of that abortion. Of that game. Also, we're going to talk about something little fun that happened during the halftime live stream yesterday of that game. And we're also going to look forward to our next opponent. And first of all, though, I want to welcome you guys all here tonight. A lot of you have come out, and I appreciate that, especially after that terrible loss that we had here. And I want to say hello to you guys first of all. First of you guys who first showed up early. Jesse Rodas, welcome to the program here. And of course, he says, let's see if Hefe pulls up, and there's Hefe right there. Of course he's going to show up. I would wonder if he would have showed up if the score would have been the other way around. So Hefe, I will let you have your piece, but first we're going to get into the rundown like we normally do here. If you're not familiar with this, and of course most of you are, anybody else who's listening here who's not participating in the chat, we go over what we call the rundown here, and that is basically our topics here that we're going to cover during this live stream. And at the end, well, you can put your comments in right now, and we'll cover those after the rundown into our Q&A session. So let's get to our first topic here. And it's a little bit interesting topic, to say the least. Now, if you were here last night during our halftime stream, our live stream, we went to our Q&A session. I'll give you your piece, Hefe. You guys earned it. But if you guys were here yesterday during our halftime live stream, right as we got to our Q&A session, we had about 100 plus people just kind of show up out of nowhere. Now, first of all, I thought, well, maybe it's some Raider fans who wanted to come check out the show at halftime, see what we're talking about. And that really wasn't it. And the next thing I thought of, well, maybe YouTube is, finally blessing this channel, and, all praise to the algorithm. That really wasn't it either. What really happened was this guy right here, Tom Grossi. Now, he's a pretty big YouTuber. He's a Packers fan. He does comedy / sports, or sports comedy, whichever one you want to call it. And one of his quote unquote segments, and he was going on live stream at the same time, is what they call a posse raid. Now, this basically is he searches smaller YouTube channels and then puts the link in his description during his live stream, and then his posse goes out there and kind of raids it. So that's what happened here, and you can go there if you want to watch it. Watch last night's his live stream, and he talks about his guys coming out of the channel. I didn't really mind it. I think some things were misconstrued. He thought we were like banning all of them. And what was really happening, if you weren't here, what was really happening is most of them were pretty respectful, saying hi, Grossi Posse, all this stuff. I didn't really understand it until after the fact. But the thing I didn't like was about 2 or 3 of them were straight spamming. They were just copying and pasting these phrases. And that's what myself and the mods were removing. And I think they misconstrued that we were banning all of them. That was not the case at all. But, there shouldn't be any spamming, because that's the whole purpose of our live stream, is to interact. And if somebody's just basically throwing diarrhea in the chat, it kind of defeats the purpose. So, and then they kind of explained, we do this to, bump the algorithm on the smaller channels to help them out. Yeah, maybe so, maybe no. Hey, Sandy B. Glad you could come here. We're first talking about a little incident that happened during the live stream last night, a little fun incident. I didn't really mind it, except for the spammers, like 2 or 3 of them that we, removed their comments. That's all. The rest of them were fine. But, they kind of come under the guise of, we're here to help little, smaller channels with the algorithm, give them a spike. To me, I'll let you know if I do get that spike. I haven't seen it yet. It's a little short. I mean, I did get more views, obviously, in the short term. That makes sense. But for like something lasting, I'm not so sure about that. I think it's more for these guys. I think it's more, honestly, for these guys. He's kind of a comedian. It's more of a segment for him to interact with his people, So to me, it's more, I envision it more like a Revenge of the Nerds, like a panty raid. Again, I wasn't offended by it. Just don't really spam the comment section so we can all have, enjoy it. So with that said, let's get to the abortion, the game review. Well, Al, that was kind of an impossibility, but we'll talk about that during the final grading. I'll save that comment for later. We're going to get through the first two keys to the game on offense, and we're going to, or on defense, and we're going to grade the defense as a whole. Now, the first thing I talked about in my preview is that we need to stop the running game with Williams. Now, I'm giving this a D-. Now, depending on how you look at this, you could go up to a C- if you're looking purely at running. We only gave up 94 yards on 25 carries. That's under 4 yards per carry. That's pretty good for us. We're averaging over 120 yards allowed on the ground. So you could maybe say a C- there, but Williams really burned us in the passing game. We'll get to that in the overall grade as well. He had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Absolutely unacceptable. So if you want to go there, we could go F on that side. I kind of split the difference and went with a D- here. Now, my second key was containing Tyreek Hill. Now, I gave this an F. Now, I know he didn't really have any huge plays, but they made him when they counted. He got 2 touchdowns. And I know he only got 78 yards, but still, especially that second touchdown right before the half, wide open, unacceptable, outrageous. And this kind of goes to the theme of this defense, and I got to give it an F. This is the worst performance I've seen this defense this year, bar none. Not just with the players, but with the scheme, with Gus Bradley not compensating for what was going on. Like I said, the running backs in the flat, not covered, never covered. Outside linebackers suck. I talked about that in the halftime report. And it's funny because that Tom Grossi guy came in to my channel right as I was ranting about Corey Littleton. He mentioned it. So KJ Wright, too, he's kind of faded. It's probably why he was out there so long. Nobody wanted him, obviously. And we picked him up. He was good in the beginning. I don't know if he's just too old and he's just kind of fading away or what's going on. Not just that, but Travis Kelce, wide open, wide open, wide open. Nobody's covering Travis Kelce again. I said he could get 100 yards and we could still win, and we probably could have still won if and only that was the case, but that was not the case. Mahomes could do what he wanted. The pass rush was non-existent. Now, I'm going to say this. The Chiefs can basically do whatever they want as far as holding our players. Max Crosby was held just about every play. Didn't get a penalty till the third quarter, and then you saw Max Crosby clapping sarcastically at the refs because the refs suck dick. That's obvious. These guys could do no wrong. And that whole Creed Humphrey thing where he does a little squatty squat. I bet you $5 if Andre James would have pulled that shit, that would have been a false start. It was absolute nonsense. But you know what? That was bullshit, but that's no excuse. We still would have lost the game even if they would have called those holding calls. Maybe it wouldn't have been 41 points, maybe 31 points. Still, the defense looked terrible. When Faison was out and Desmond Trufant came in, that was just disgusting. Why are we even dealing with this guy? Well, obviously why. Arnett was a head case. Mullins hurt. Then Faison got hurt. So we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for DBs, obviously. So gave up 41 points, over 500 total yards, 5 touchdowns. I talked about them not getting any sacks. I think a lot of that was the bullshit refs. And no turnovers. The punter got it. I'm not going to give it to them. That was special teams. No turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. Terrible performance. And no adjustments to the scheme. They did this little thing, and it was amazing. Everybody in the world saw it. Even the stupid announcers that don't have any clue really of what they're doing. They could see this. Kelce would kind of fake block Max Crosby for a second or two. Just enough for our idiot linebackers in secondary to drop back. And then he would kind of let him go. And then Crosby would come after Mahomes, and Mahomes would just lob it to Kelce, first down. They did that 4, 5, 6 times, something like that. We couldn't make an adjustment on that, really? Why are we letting Kelsey wide open? Absolute nonsense. And I will get to what I feel overall with this team once we get to the fallout portion and kind of base it on some things I observed after the game as well. So defense sucked. Let's get to the offense, which wasn't any better. No, what we took was an ass beating. That's what we took. And the first key was Derek Carr bouncing back. That didn't happen. Now, if you didn't watch the game and you were just a statistical purist, you'd say, why are you giving him an F? He was 25 of 35, 261, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And that interception was kind of a lob play desperation, almost like a punt. I thought it was hilarious that their secondary danced around like they got they won the Super Bowl off of that. That was like the easiest interception in the world to get. But the game was already out of reach by then. It didn't really matter. But Carr is, I hate to say it, maybe Joey Bosa is right. If you can get to this guy, he gets into that check down, almost scared mode. Our offensive line was terrible tonight. Leatherwood got 1 penalty. He usually has to get his 1 penalty. He actually should have gotten 2, but Parker moved as well, so they called it on him. Even Colton Miller wasn't that great. He was the best of the bunch, but that I would say he was probably average. He was okay. The rest of them were terrible. And again, more calls that whole Jaron Reed sack. Even the announcers saw that hands to the face to John Simpson, not called. Well, that's okay if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, But our guy can run out of bounds a little bit too long. That's a 15-yard penalty, of course, because it's the Raiders. The Queefs can do no wrong. They're the darlings, of course. They need to get them back into the race because they suck. And they need to get back into first place to get the ratings up. We know NFL. And, that's probably another reason why he went after Gruden, of course. Blah, blah, blah. My rant's over. Our team still sucked, even though the refs were against us. We didn't deserve to win this game anyway. Next one is Waller. Got to give this an F as well. 4 for 24 ain't cutting it. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're bracketed. You're in prime time. You're going up against Travis Kelce. You want to be elite. You're not showing it. I don't care if Carr was off. You're still not showing it. That's not enough. Now, to give this a perspective here, we all know the whole Deshaun Jackson play. He caught the ball and then ran the wrong way, didn't know where the hell he was going, and then got it popped out. He got 14 more yards. He had 1 catch. He got 14 more yards on that play than Waller had the whole game. So you got to get an F on that. Unacceptable. And of course, overall, this has got to be an F, right? 14 total points on 14 first downs. That's pathetic. In comparison, the Chiefs got 28 first downs, doubled the number. Only 50 yards rushing. Now, of course, we were behind in the game. That's probably why we didn't get so many rushing yards, but still. And this whole conversion thing, we're getting eaten alive by this. And I've talked about this for a few weeks. On the defensive side, I didn't mention it on the defensive thing, but we were 9 of 15 on stopping them on third down conversions, 3 of 3 on fourth down. We couldn't stop them. This has been a problem. We were pretty good in the beginning of the season. Last 2 or 3 games, we've been stinking it up. Now, on our side, we were 1 of 9 on third down conversions, 1 of 3 on fourth down. It's not going to get it done. You can't, it's like we can't stop anybody. We can't move the ball. Other than that first drive in the second half where it looked good and we got back into it was 17-14 and it looked like it was going to be a game. Other than that, terrible. Two touchdowns and 2 turnovers. Not going to get it done. Some silver linings, of course. Hunter Renfrow looked pretty good. His usual roughly 50 yards a game and a touchdown. We saw that. Brian Edwards, 3 catches, 88 yards. He had that touchdown on that first drive of the second half. Some silver lining here, but overall, it's not going to get it done, guys. And let's get to the fallout here. Now, first of all, you probably saw him being carted off. Alec Ingold, tweaked his knee. It's been confirmed he has a torn ACL. He's out for the year. This sucks. I don't know who we're going to get. I saw another Raider channel put out that we're going to be getting Sutton Smith, a guy that was drafted as an edge rusher. I don't know if he's going to convert to a fullback. Can we really get a true fullback? I don't know what's going on with that. I couldn't really confirm that. I didn't see anything on that as far as a confirmation, but that sucks. He's a good player, not only as a fullback, but he can catch the ball too. So another guy on the IR list for us. Now let's get to these pressers. I just took screenshots of some of this is right after the game, and I took what I saw. Now, you can see he was looking down. Obviously, he was reading from a script, but then Derek Carr comes in here. This is where he first gets on the podium. He has this little wry smile. I don't know what the fuck he's smiling about. He's been shitty the last 2 games, Maybe he's smiling, he's still getting paid. I don't know. And then Hunter Renfrow, when he first got there, he's just kind of rubbing his beard, and it looks kind of like a little choke sign, and that's pretty much what the Raiders did in this game. They didn't even... I mean, you can lose to the Chiefs, maybe, if it's like 41-38 and you lose a close one. This was an embarrassment, guys. And all 3 of these press conferences, you can go watch them yourself if you haven't already. He actually did a smirk in the beginning, Sandy B, and then he started talking the normal stuff, but all 3 of these guys kind of exhibited the same thing. Very low energy, kind of moping, no real fire, and a couple of them mentioned, especially Hunter Renfrow was basically saying, well, we're still 5-4, we got 8 games left, blah, blah. What happened? Did I miss something here? Isn't this the team whose motto is commitment to excellence? Why are we happy with 5-4? We're happy with being slightly over 500, and it kind of got me thinking that, this team really, the real Raiders, kind of died with Al Davis. I hate to say it. They wear the silver and black. They got, they got the logo, but this isn't the Raider team that I grew up with. Now, I know some of the Grossi Posse called me a boomer. I'm actually like in Gen X, but be that as it may, that's fine. I don't really care about that, but I remember when this team was not only competitive, but dominant. They had the best record on Monday Night Football. They won Super Bowls, and you know what? They weren't infallible. They lost games too, but you know what? After a game, even if they lost, the other team, they kicked him in the ass. They felt it. They knew they played the Raiders. This team, they just kind of roll over, and I could say, well, it's Derek Carr. He's the leader on the players. Yes, it's the coaching staff, and Gruden was, I told you how I felt about Gruden, but this has been going on for a while, and honestly, it comes down to the ownership. We have a guy who's basically Tommy Boy, who inherited a team, not a real football guy, doesn't really care, too busy going to Hooters. There's no soul to this team anymore. They have enough talent to at least make the playoffs, but I'm really questioning if they are, to be honest with you. And, next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. If you are enjoying this, give it a thumbs up and all that. And what's even more important, hit that bell notification when you subscribe. That way you get notifications of all my live streams. And again, we're going to be going live at halftime against the Bengals. I will be doing a preview later on in the week, of course, and talking about the first half during the game itself at halftime. Now, to just give you a little bit again about the Bengals, they're 5-4 also. They were 5-2, pretty hot, and they lost their last 2. They lost their last game in a very ugly loss against the divisional rival of theirs, Cleveland Browns. Joe Burrow threw 2 picks. One was a pick 6. And the offensive rookie of the year candidate, Jamar Chase, didn't look very good in that. He had about 50 yards receiving. So they're both going to want to, both teams are going to want to bounce back. Obviously, they're coming off of a bye week. They're going to be coming to Allegiant Stadium. It's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of this season plays out. And I've said before, we're starting to come to a rough part of our season. We're going to have to go to Dallas on Thanksgiving. We're going to have to play the Chiefs again. Washington, now Chase Young, I heard he's out for the season now, so a little bit of luck for us, but still, they're still a pretty gritty team. This could get pretty ugly quick if we can't turn it around. So, But I want to know at this point, I want to know what you have to say about this. What do you guys think? Am I off of what I said about the team? What happened? Obviously, we can kind of see this is probably their worst game of the season, obviously. I'm going to scroll up and see what you guys have to say. And, of course, Hefe Raider, if you want to talk smack, you've earned it. Your team earned it. They came out and took it to us. So I'm going to scroll up and see what you guys have to say. Jesse was talking to Hefe. I would say good game, but we didn't show up. Congrats. Let's see. Hefe said, you guys lost your coach, and that's a big piece. I would have liked to have played you guys healthy. Yeah, that's part of it. I'm really concerned because this team looked good post Gruden. It's been post Henry Ruggs where there's been serious problems, and I'm not gonna say. Well, I mean, he was talented on the field, but was he the linchpin to this offense? It's still on Derek Carr. He was spreading the ball around pretty good before, and now it's like, it's almost like he's given up. Yeah, Joey Bosa was an asshole, but he might have been speaking the truth. Jesse says it's football, no excuses. We're playing like shit. We got humiliated on prime time. Yep. Facts. Painful to watch. The refs are prejudiced. They are, but even if they called it down the middle, we would have lost that game. We did not play nearly good enough. Maybe 31-14. It wouldn't have been close, so in my opinion. Why wasn't Waller used more? You have to ask Derek Carr that. To be honest, I don't really understand what went wrong on the offensive side, other than the pass rush. The offensive line was pretty terrible. So that hurried Carr, and when Carr hurries, it's time for a 2-yard check down on 3rd and 8. I think Waller's checked out already. Maybe. He had that. He had those problems early on. There was talk about him not being happy with his contract at the beginning of the season. Could be the case. Wasn't given the ball hardly enough. Carr was our leading rusher. Well, it's misleading because we got behind early. We had to throw more. I understand that. Let's see. We're done. Raider Wolf says we're done. Welcome to the live stream here. We just might be. From what I saw post game, we just might be, because I didn't see the heart. I'm looking for like Bill Romanowski to come in and start screaming, what the hell are we doing? How he used to be. That's what I want to see. I'm not seeing any of it. Not even from Max Crosby. Now, Max Crosby's presser, it's like one of the first questions the reporter was kind of asking him, trying to get him to see if he'll say, about the holding calls. And he was pretty cool. I understand that, because all that's going to happen is he's going to get fined. Nothing's really going to happen about it. So, keep your mouth shut. Don't lighten your wallet. I understand that, but still there's no fire there. It's like we're just kind of going through the motion, It's not good enough. Our season died when Gruden left the building. I don't think we would have won a Super Bowl with Gruden, to be honest with you. I said that, I believe, right after the Bears game, before he quit, before all this stuff. I mean, the email started coming out, but before he quit, I was not confident in Gruden. You can look at my Grading Gruden series and see just about every year we had like a second half collapse of the season. So, and not just wins and losses, points, of course, but also yards, first downs. I kind of went through it if you want to watch that. So I'm not real confident with him. I think he's very stubborn and he wants to do things his way, and other coaching staffs adapt to what their players' talents are and also what the other team's doing and adjust. And I think he gets out coached a lot. So I think getting rid of Gruden was a blessing in disguise, because he had a 10-year deal. He was in year 4. And now there was a settlement with the Raiders, and now he's going to go after the league. That's great. Let us get a new head coach that knows what they're doing. It's kind of a win-win for us. Subscribe and hit the bell. That's important. Otherwise, you won't get. If you don't hit the bell and hit all, you're not going to get the notifications when I drop new notifications for live streams coming up. Jesse says KC players were dancing and laughing at the whole Raiders team from the sideline. How the hell are we okay with? Absolutely, there's no fire. This is not the Raiders. Al Davis. This is the Raiders. Okay, this is a team that will bend over and take it and roll over and play dead. Even when teams were beating us back in the day, our team would fight back and bust their lip, whatever. That was their reputation. Win, lose, or draw, it didn't matter. You're going to have a tough game. This team has no heart. That's the problem. It really doesn't. It seems they don't care. I do get it. Yeah, it does seem they don't care. And they're 5-4. I mean, they could turn it around. I'm not saying that's good, but it's not like they're 0-8. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. And they could prove me wrong, but Raider Wolf says, I'm seriously considering not watching the rest of the season, possibly giving up on NFL altogether. It's a clown show. We all know the officiating's in complete nonsense. And that's a lot. A lot of people say that this is rigged, and I kind of see it at times from the officiating, and not just against the Raiders, but you see it with other teams, like quirky little things that, how did that happen? And that's a penalty. How is that a penalty? Keeping certain teams in games, like holding. You can call that just about any play. Pass interference is very subjective. I mean, if they want to, they can manipulate a game to a degree. Let's see. Jesse says, I wouldn't even watch the Cowgirls game. They have a good running game, passing game. I wouldn't be surprised to put 800 yards in the offense since on prime time. Fuck my life. Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott's there. We talked about the schedule review, and I think I had you guys do it, and I did it myself. We both put that as a loss on Thursday. It's going to be a short week on Thanksgiving in Dallas, and that offense is no joke. Even if we play good defense, it's going to be tough against these guys. So Sandy B says, so is it there is no real leader Raider? Yes. What I would want, this is what I would want. Perfect world, I'd want Mark Davis to sell the team to an owner who gives a care about football. And he can go buy some Hooter franchises, or, there's talk he likes baseball. Go buy a major league team or minor league team, whatever you want. Go buy the Las Vegas Aces. I really don't care, because you have no heart. And it kind of flows downhill. Same thing with Al. Football was his life. He coached. He owned. He was the commissioner of the AFL. He did everything, He was the heart and soul of this team. When he died, the team kind of died with it. You still have the silver and black, but, and then you see all these old videos of back in the day when they were successful, just trying to live in the past. I mean, we had a good history, but it's history. We need to move forward. We need to create new history. We need to be winning more rings, And they showed that graphic with I know you guys were watching the game. Since 2003, we haven't won a division title, and all the other teams have won multiple division titles since then. It's like, yeah, because Al's gone, And Al, God forbid. I mean, I think he was kind of going anyway mentally. He's old. It happens to the best of us. And the team kind of took a nosedive since, and it really hasn't truly recovered. And I think Tommy Boy was just trying to revive things with Gruden, maybe get some grease going with the new move to Vegas and all that. He doesn't know what he's doing. I would hope he would sell it. I don't think that's going to happen. We need to get a good director of player personnel, not a coach running things, and then draft well, get a good coach, and let them decide the fate of Derek Carr. I'm kind of iffy here with him. I think he has the talent. I'm not sure if he has the heart at this point. Let's see. Jesse says we need a player to hold other players accountable for their mistakes on the field and get in their face and correct on the field. Yeah, we need a Bill Romanowski type guy to be screaming at people. We don't have that. We have a lot of youth. We have youth, and we have old vets that are probably past their prime, and Derek Carr, who's been here 9 years now. I mean, come on. Like I said, he's basically in a contract year now. We have him through 2022, but if we're really going to get a new contract, it's going to be in this off season, right? So if that's not going to happen, we could very well trade him to another team. Now, I would have said Chicago before, but they have Fields now. I think they need to go with Fields. He's improving. He's a rookie, but he's improving, and I think they have a lot of upside with him. But, you could trade him somewhere else. I don't know. And look for a quarterback in the draft and get a vet to back him up or what have you. If they're going to go that route. It's going to be interesting. To me, this is kind of sealing the fate of Bisaccia because, after those first couple of games with Gruden, and even I was saying that, it looked like things were working where he was kind of the head guy and then the two coordinators were like the nuts and bolts of it. And it was working. It's not working now. They're getting out coached. I mean, the Kool-Aid man, he could barely walk, but he can coach coach circles around us. So, and then that little fat. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. That little fat bastard special teams coach they have on Kansas City. That son of a bitch, running a fake punt up by 13 late in the third. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of trash. If you did that to the old Raiders, I bet you Tatum would have came out of bounds. Oops, sorry. You'd have been leveled. Just a little no respect whatsoever for this team. Everybody pull it out and pee on our head. That's what it is. It's a joke. It's almost like, Mark, sell the team, please. Sell the team so we can be the Raiders again. We're not really the Raiders. Or retire the colors. Change the name to the Las Vegas slot machines and we can have a real Raider team at some point, It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, especially those of us who remember the past, and the attitude and the winning, the real commitment to excellence. That's not here. It's not here. It's just not here. Players have no dog in them. Yep. Al would have fired the whole coaching staff. He might have. He just might have. He definitely would have been on the field yelling at Carr, yelling at Bisaccia. I don't think Bisaccia would have been the interim coach, that's for sure. And Gruden definitely wouldn't have been rehired. There was some bad blood between him and Al. Sandy B says, Hallis and Ditka were our last great leaders for the Bears. Yeah, you guys need a head coach too. Nagy isn't the answer, but he's going to be on his way out, you can tell. Rand's SA. Nice for you to come out. I see you here. You said, do you think Mariota should take over from here on out? Honestly, yeah, Raider Wolf says it doesn't matter. I don't think that matters. If the only way I would say yes to that is if you're trying to wake Derek Carr up and bench him for a game. If you want to do that and then put Carr back in, like, okay, this isn't guaranteed. Get your ass moving here, maybe, but Mariota's not the answer. I mean, he can do the RPO. He's not as accurate as Carr. He just isn't. He's not as good. I like him in the red zone and that one we did the 4th and 2 before. It's perfect. The Giants game, that's a perfect situation for him and Jacobs. And do that RPO, what are they going to do? They can't stop that. You're going to get the 4th and 2 every time. That's great. But a kind of guy who's going to lead you a whole game, it's not going to happen. I just don't see it. Let's see. Definitely not as accurate as Carr. Yes. Jesse Rhoda says, no, Mariota is not better than Carr. Yeah. Like I said, I would only say if you're gonna rattle Carr's cage and say, okay, here you are. You're in a contract year, basically, if you don't turn this around, we're going to trade your ass and we're going to start Mariota next week against Cincy. Okay. Shake it up a little bit. This team has to do something there. At best, we're headed towards 8-8, or it's 17 games, 8-9, 9-8. You know that's where we're headed. Is anybody? It's a sad state when you have owners, you have front office, you have coaches and players, and the fucking fans, care more about winning than the other four. That's a sad state. It is. It's a sad state. You know. Sandy B says they need to try something else. Every week is getting worse. Yeah, I say what you want. Andy Reid's a good coach. It is what it is. He exploited a lot of things, and we didn't correct it. Like the whole Kelsey thing, everybody getting wide open. Running backs in the flat, we've been doing that for weeks. He exploited that too. Rattling Derek Carr. Yep, threaten him, yes. Sandy B says, isn't it ironic that the Raiders, we care more than them? Yeah, exactly. But we have to go to their new stadium, pay minimum of $250 a seat. And those are kind of the cheapy seats, obviously. Go through all their other protocol. I'm not going to get into all that political nonsense, but they're, I think, one of two teams that implemented that guideline restriction. So I think the Saints also did it. I know the Chargers didn't do it down here. So just, this is not the Raiders. This isn't the Raiders team. It is what it is. So where is Hefe? He didn't really talk much smack. He did show up. I give him that. Props to him. Now, hopefully we put on more of a game in KC when we play again. But right now, I don't know what's going to happen with this team. We blundered our way to a loss with the Giants, and we absolutely got outplayed and outcoached in this game. That's the bottom line. And, I don't want to hear the excuses, well, Gruden, this. They bounced back and won 2 games solidly after Gruden. The whole Ruggs thing. Yeah, that's terrible, but you got to move on. You got to move on at some point. And the whole Damon Arnett thing, that's been kind of building up. That wasn't like a new thing like Ruggs. He was been on the hot seat for quite some time now. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, it plays to the heart of this team. I don't see it. I don't see the heart of this team. Are they going to step up? Are they going to fight back? Or are they just going to roll over again? Sandy B says, they all need a kick in the pants, hit him in the pocketbook. Well, they can't hit him in the pocketbook unless they do like, conduct detrimental to the team. If they just sit and mope around, they're not gonna. You can't like fine them for that. They can bench players, and if they want to start Mariota next week against Cincy, and just to bench Carr, I'm all for it. If that's what it takes to shake this team up, if we, freaking do it. I mean, he's the quarterback. He's the head of this offense, so a lot of it's on him. When they win, he gets a lot of credit. And when they lose, he should get a lot of blame. That's just how it is at that position. So, yeah, I'm down with that. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Mariota's the long-term solution, though. And who knows, that might work out with Cincy. I'll talk about that in my game review. I'm not real confident, especially in the run defense. And if we RPO them to death, that could be very helpful. Let's see. Jesse says, ask yourself this: what wideout and running back on our team could go to another team that is a contender, be a number 1 on the starting roster? Jacobs on Tennessee, since Henry's out. I could see that. The wideouts, and that goes back to the front office and the poor drafting. It's obvious. It's obvious. I mean, Edwards was a 3rd round pick. He's had little flashes. Renfro is solid in the slot. I think he could start with a lot of teams, to be honest with you. I think he's probably one of the best slot receivers. Other than Cooper Kupp, he might be number 2. You could argue that. Very solid guy. Rand's essay says, if we lose against the Bengals, then I'm just going to stop watching until next year. The Bengals have, like I said in my next up segment here, they've been on a similar trajectory as us. They were 5-2. They were leading their division, right? And they kind of fell from grace the last couple games they had, especially with the Browns. They made the Browns look sick. They couldn't stop the run. They're a lot like us. They're a lot like us. I'll get into that in the game review. But I do like Jamar Chase. I liked him at LSU. Now he's with his old running buddy, Joe Burrow. They could be problems for us. They could be big problems for us. We did pretty well against Devontae Smith with Philly, but I don't know. This team was different back then, too. That was before the bye week and all that. So, let's see. Sandy B says, come on, these are professionals. Put the lady down and move on with the team. Put the lady down. Are you talking about the strippers in Vegas there, Sandy B? I don't know. But anyway, let's see. Anybody have anything else you want to talk about before this? I will say this. I will be going live. Well, I'll let you know. I'm going to put a poll out probably tomorrow. And I'll ask you guys what you want. As far as the review against the Bengals, I'll go live at halftime, of course, but I'm not sure if you guys like a straight video that I do, or you want to do a live stream like I did here and do a game preview against the Bengals, and we can talk about it. I'm kind of leaning that way right now. I might do a poll for that, so keep your eye on that. That'll probably come out maybe Friday or Saturday. Last week I had to put it out a little early. I was busy with some other things last week. I couldn't do that. What I like to do is put out the previews at least Friday or Saturday, because the final injury report from the teams don't come out until Friday afternoon. So, like significantly, like Barkley was kind of an iffy one, like with the Giants, and then he had that false positive COVID test, but then he didn't play anyway because of his ankle. We didn't know that really till Friday. So I like to do that on Fridays so we have a better picture of any significant injuries. Jesse says Jacobs will be hurt by the 5th attempt running for Tennessee the way they run the ball. I don't think they would run the ball the same way. That's my opinion. They do that with Henry because he can handle it. It's amazing to me. It's almost Adrian Peterson like when he came back from the ACL so quickly. The amount of carries that Derrick Henry has had without injury, and then he gets hurt now, which is kind of crazy. But Rands, appreciate you a lot. I appreciate you guys too. Catherine, welcome here. Glad to see Mahomes is back to form. Well, I'll say this: it's easy to get back to form when you can basically play pitch and catch. That's what they did. Between Hill in the end zone and Kelsey, just about every Kelsey catch was uncontested. Definitely more times than not if you looked at it. And then there was one or two where he just plain dropped it and he was open. I mean, how many times do I play against Travis Kelsey and learn to at least cover him? It's getting to the point where I was kind of thinking in my head, DJ Hayden wouldn't be bad back on this team now. At least he covers people. He gets flags and pass interference, but at least he's in the picture trying, There's not wide open plays. That's how bad we are with this nonsense. So, yeah, they made it too easy for Mahomes. That and the fact that we couldn't even get to him because they could do whatever they want, hold us. There was no pass rush. You couldn't get to him. You could just grab Max Crosby all you want. 0 sacks, one holding call, absolutely pathetic by the refs. But again, that's about 10% of the issues we had with that game as far as our side goes. Sorry, Ramsey's truthful. Let's see. Jesse says Jacobs' best year is his first year. He's been downhill since. Yeah, well, Jesse, I said it in my off-season review. Jacobs is good when healthy. There's a little asterisk now. When healthy, because he's not healthy all the time. And it amazed me from a personnel standpoint that we didn't get another strong runner. Kenyon Drake's good at catching the ball. His forte isn't between the tackles. And like I said, even in my mock drafts that we did with those little draft programs, I was always drafting Ramondre Stevenson, 5th, 6th round, because he's like a big bowling ball. And I figured even if Jacobs could get hurt, we could still run the ball. Gruden loves to run the hell out of the ball. They didn't get another guy next to him. They got Kenyon Drake, who's not a good runner inside the tackles. He's a swing pass kind of guy, and he does that very well, but he's not an inside between the tackle guy unless we have, mile long holes for him. Of course, I've seen him break a couple off. Yeah, but with Incognito out and, Good getting hurt, we're not going to expect those holes, interior offensive line. Let's see. Hey, JoJo's, welcome here. I just saw you come on in. Hi. Thanks, Sandy. Can't wait for the next live with the champion. Well, you guys are the champions as well. You guys coming in here and supporting this channel. You know what? I'll do that. I'll go live either Friday night or Saturday night. Look for the notifications. We'll do the preview that way. That way you can get your take on what I think is going to happen in this game and what we need to do to win against the Bengals next week. All right? Because I enjoy the live streams more. I enjoy the interactions more than just putting a video out there and then maybe there'll be some comments. It's more organic to me. So I like this a lot more. Rands also says, I really don't feel the playoffs this year. Man, they do this to me every year. They do that to all of us every year, to be honest. Like I said, I think Raider Nation cares more about winning than any of the levels of the organization, from the owners, personnel, player personnel people, the coaching, and the players themselves. It's sad. Hard to cheer for a team that doesn't feel the same. Yep, exactly. We deserve better. I could be biased and say we're the best fan base in the league. I mean, I have respect for Bills Mafia for sure. They've went through a lot as well for losing 4 Super Bowls in a row and all that. They got a good fan base as well. Green Bay has a pretty good fan base. The Bears, some of the old time teams, but so do we, and we deserve much better. We deserve better than this bullshit from the top on down, including Tommy Boy, all the way down to the players. Jesse says, is it not funny how Mahomes could throw little dump passes the whole game's a win, but when Carr does it, it's off with his head? Well, the difference is those dump passes get first downs because nobody's covering the dump passes on the defensive side, right? Darrell Williams had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown because basically he wasn't covered most of the time. And like I said, I like Jonathan Abram. He reminds me a lot of an old school Raider. I think he would have been great back in the day. He could have gotten away with a lot more as far as the physicality, but he can't cover anybody. Let's be honest. He's a box safety and he's good at it. But on passing downs, he's a liability. He just is. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Same thing with Perryman. I'm not confident in his coverage abilities either, but he's a damn good tackler, and he's a good run stopper most of the time. It's just what it is. We have to play to our players' strengths right now, and then reload in the draft and free agency next year. It is what it is. Let's see. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about? You guys want to talk about the Bengals? You worried about them? They were looking pretty good. I made a fantasy video. I was making some fantasy videos over the summer. Hang on, let me get a quick drink here. I like to pause when I drink so you guys don't hear the gulps, of course, unlike some people, Cliff Bar. But anyway, I did some fantasy videos from a team perspective, and one of them was on the Cincinnati Bengals. I was not very confident in their defense. They've kind of proved me wrong a little bit. They have come back to earth a little bit, but they are more than just Jesse Bates. They're all pro safety, and we'll get into that during the preview. But I thought Jamar Chase would probably win Rookie of the Year, but I didn't think he'd be this good this early. And it's going to be kind of scary with this guy. I'm already thinking that it's definitely going to be one of my keys to the game on the defensive side. We got to neutralize him. It could be a rough game. Seeing him get 40, 50-yard touchdown passes. Let's see. Abram can't cover for his life. It's true, but that's not his forte, right? That's like saying, well, Kenyon Drake, he sucks because he can't run inside the tackles very well. That's not his game. Abram's game is get in there almost like a linebacker. I mean, honestly, at this point, put him in for KJ Wright. I mean, and just put Littleton on the tight end as he was intended to do. And I keep saying this. That was the whole point of getting this guy, was to go after and cover Travis Kelce because he could cover George Kittle. I keep saying this. We keep not doing it. We use him as a let's see, what do you say? As more of a will, but I don't see it. And use Abram as more of a run stopping linebacker. He's the kind of guy who can not only stop the run but come up, hit the screen passes, the little passes out in the flat. That's his strength. Not covering guys, not covering a Kelce or a wide receiver. It's not going to happen. He's getting burnt out there. Hey, Earth Daughter, I saw you in here. You're laughing. I don't know why you're laughing. I hope it's not because of the Raiders. We saw enough of that with the Chiefs laughing at us. And no response from our team, basically. See, Raider Wolf says, I'm ready for another rebuild. I wouldn't mind that, but it has to be done the right way. And that means we get somebody in the personnel group who's in charge, who knows what the hell they're doing. Gruden didn't know what he was doing. Now, it gets to the point where, do you say Mayock is culpable as well? Or was Gruden just the man and Mayock was the evaluator guy? Even though he was GM. Even Mayock said that Gruden had the final call. So I'm gonna go into detail in the offseason about what we should do with Mike Mayock, what the picks have been, and all that. I'll save my final judgment. I have some preconceived ideas from what I've seen so far, but I kind of want to quantify it a little bit better. So I'll save my final judgment on Mike Mayock for that. Jesse Rodas says, I'm so mad I had Mahomes on the bench and started Carr because I believed him. Boy, I was wrong. I took double L's. I started the Raiders defense in fantasy thinking that they were going to bounce back and do well. They got a couple points for that fumble. That was it, So that killed me. I don't even want to talk about fantasy this year, to be honest. Raider Wolf says, wide receiving core is arguably one of the worst in the league. See, my problem is this kind of gets to the point where if Ruggs didn't have his head up his ass, maybe not. I could see here's my thing. If I could see if we could get Devontae Adams in the offseason as our number one, put him with Bryan Edwards and Renfro. That, to me, that kind of turns it into maybe a top 10 wide receiving core in the league. That's an above average wide receiving core in the league. We don't have a man, like this guy is the man, that guy is the man. We don't have that. That's for sure. But if we had a Devontae Adams and those other guys supporting him, a Zay Jones to support, with speed or whatever, I could see as an overall whole, the wide receiver core would be exponentially better. Uh, Earth Daughter was saying, sorry, I was laughing at the Cliff Bar comment. Yes, let me do that again. So, there's a guy on the internet called the Cliff, and I call him the Cliff Bar, and he likes to gulp and cough on the mic while he's on here because he's old and he doesn't give a care. But I try to respect you guys here, so I will mute very quickly while I take another drink. And now we're back. So, does anybody have anything else? We've been on about an hour now. If you've known my live streams, other than the halftime ones, those are about 15 minutes because that's about the time we have for halftime. My regular live streams, I like to go about an hour. Otherwise, it kind of gets stale, just talking about things. That's why I do the rundown here. I have specific topics, and then we can have, some conversation as far as the Q&A section. So, Me Too Champion, the Raiders defense gave me -2 points. Yeah, I'm in the league where they don't count points, thank God. So I got 2 points for the fumble recovery the fumble by the punter. Good job, AJ Cole again. Props. I gave him some love during the halftime show before the posse panty raid happened. But yeah, good job by him. Real gutsy kind of play too. He put his head down there. That's a Raider to me. I loved it. I mean, at this point, we gotta take the wins where we can get them. We gotta take the silver linings where we can get them. Edwards was kind of heating up there in the seam. Had that nice pass by Carr. That's what I'm saying. Carr has the ability, has the talent. His problem is if he gets flustered in any way, it's done. Bosa, I think Bosa was right about that. With Mahomes, he can kind of ad lib and do his little sidearm shortstop plays and all that crap. But I think that happens to a degree with every quarterback. You got to have protection for him, but more so with Carr. And I'm really kind of surprised at how we restructured the offensive line. I get that we had to get rid of Trent Brown. He was a piece of crap. We weren't going to pay him. The whole thing with Gabe Jackson, I talked about this one of my first videos of the offseason, and I got a lot of crap for it. I went and I looked at all the salary caps, and I said, you know what? Gabe Jackson or Incognito's, one of them's got to go. They're making too much money unless they both restructure. I don't see that happening. I think one of them's going to go. And Gabe was gone and Incognito restructured. We just had too much money on the offensive line, to be honest with you. And they didn't perform that well last year. They were kind of average, to be honest. They weren't performing to their paychecks last year, that's for sure. So, but given that, the replacements, I knew we were going to have some growing pains, but my God, Leatherwood, we drafted him to be right tackle. He's our starting right tackle. We didn't reach. He's the best. He was the best tackle on the board, and the same nonsense. Same thing with Cleve Farrell. He's right there with Nick Bosa. Really, no, really, he's really not. So, I think that's probably our biggest problem. We don't have the front office to properly evaluate talent, and Gruden just made it even worse. And his archaic play calling and his stubbornness not to adjust caused problems and allowed him to be outcoached in second halves of games, second halves of seasons. I talked about that in my other videos, so I want to rehash that. Does anybody have anything else? We are at the 1 hour mark right now. 7 o'clock here Pacific time. We started at 6 o'clock. If you guys don't have anything else, we'll kind of wrap this up. I'll give you guys a second. I'll take another drink. mouth kind of gets a little dry when you keep talking and talking, just by the way. So that's why it's good to have that, you know. Anyways, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about the game? Again, I think I'll do a live stream either Friday night or Saturday night. Keep an eye out on that. We'll do the full game preview against the Cincinnati Bengals, and of course we'll go live at halftime of the game and talk about how we're doing. Sandy B says, yes, everyone, pass the word, subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you. Yes, like and subscribe. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Great show, champion. No, thank you guys for coming in here as well. Yeah, absolutely. I wish the outcome was different as well. But all we can do here ultimately is just root and kind of hope for the best. We don't really have direct control. So I do appreciate you guys coming out here, supporting this channel, and as always, go Raiders.
Ask you something, with all the distractions that you have off the field, how are you able to keep focused on winning football games as you do and do throughout the year?
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.